So it's finally here. It's finally over. The battle for Winterfell has come. It has gone. And we're now left in the aftermath of it. And unfortunately, the aftermath is once again really annoying people that don't ever actually watch the show, that come in last minute and then get really butthurt at something that's really nothing to get butthurt over. Because look at this article here. Is Arya a Mary Sue? Why some fans aren't happy after Game of Thrones battle for Winterfell. And the reason why, and there's going to be spoilers for the episode going forward, just so you know. So 3, 2, 1, spoiler alert. Arya killed the Night King, and some people think she didn't earn it. And they dumb. They dumb. They don't watch the show. They haven't watched since the beginning. They clearly haven't followed Arya's path. Not to say that it was necessarily 100% leading to this, in my own personal opinion. But even D.B. Weiss and David Benioff came up after the fact and said this had been the plan for 3 years, that they wanted Arya to deliver the blow to the Night King. The problem with the situation is ultimately that we as an audience didn't know who the damn Night King was. We didn't know anything about him. We know how he was created, but we don't ultimately know that much about him. He didn't say a damn word in the entire thing. And there was a lot in the episode that was definitely a bit of an issue when it comes to the setup. For example, they mined the hell out of Dragonstone in order to be able to kill the Whites, and they were able to do that pretty easily, like one hit and they're done. You kind of scrape them with a Dragonstone blade and they're done. But then, of course, Valyrian steel was a big part of that too. Jorah had Valyrian steel. Jon Snow had Valyrian steel, and we are meant to believe that this is going to take down the White Walker generals because that's the only way to kill them, or the Night King. And in the end, yeah, that's true. But there was no fighting with it. It was what it was. Also, Rip Jorah, Rip Theon, Rip Lyanna, or Liara, whatever her name was, Liara. I don't know, the 15-year-old with the best death in the entire episode, and of course Melisandre. But Melisandre and Arya, that was, I think, the most interesting thing, because that's what I think people don't realize. They don't look at that specifically and think Arya earned this moment, that it was prophesized she was going to earn this moment, but that it felt a little bit too easy. Because what you do have to realize is, for that particular scene, when Melisandre, the Hound, and Arya are in Winterfell, and Melisandre says, "I told you, you were going to shut many eyes, brown, green, and blue." It was that moment that Arya realized what she had to do. But that particular conversation goes back to season 3, when Gendry and Arya are on the run, and, well, Melisandre comes up and buys Gendry in order to steal his blood to basically make Stannis the king, thinking that he was going to be the prophecy. Then, of course, when that failed, in the off-screen death that Stannis had from Brienne of Tarth, okay, still a little bit weird. Then she moved on to Jon Snow and Daenerys, thinking that that was going to be the prophesized prince's return. But now we know that that's pretty much Arya Stark. So Arya, having gone off and trained with the Swordmaster from season 1, and then going on working with the Faceless to become an assassin, and everything else she had done, everything else she had experienced and lived up to at that point, put her on the direct path to take out the Night King. And that scene was great too. I loved it, because especially when you see the one White Walker's generals, the hair kind of whiffed, right, or waft in the wind, and then all of a sudden Arya just appears like a freaking ninja behind the Night King, and he grabs her, but then it was cool that she stabs him right in the gut. And it was a good moment. You also kind of you're also a little bit kind of bummed, because had she shown up maybe 2 minutes earlier, Theon would still be alive, although he ultimately was an expendable character in that moment. He had served his purpose. Same with Jorah, which is unfortunate, because he was the one character I was really bummed to see go. But at the end of the day, there is that. And then when in regards to Melisandre, Melisandre had basically lived out her purpose as well. Her purpose was to stop the Night King. That was her purpose. Her purpose was to find the prophesized prince, and then to bring that person to basically fight the Night King, defeat the Night King, and then she can die. And that was why she died. So at least that wasn't explained at all in the episode. You got to go look it up again, which is what I did, just to be on the fair side. I'll be honest with you guys on that one. But when it comes to Arya being a Mary Sue, That's not the case at all. She earned everything she did yesterday. The fight scene between her and the Whites when she had the weapon that Gendry made was badass. And then, of course, her getting punched in the face and her being injured and realizing that she's now in above her head because she's knocked off of her senses. She's off balance and she's got to regain that. She needs a couple minutes to kind of recollect herself. And unfortunately, she just has to then run from the White Walkers as they're in that library scene, which was really cool to go from the macro viewpoint of the fight to a micro viewpoint of this particular scene in a library. And I like to equate it to the final act of World War Z, which I do feel was heavily inspired, or this episode is heavily inspired by that. But in World War Z, you get the macro version of everything, and then the final act is a micro version of it. And I thought that was pretty cool, how it just kind of like takes the world aspect of it and brings it into this moment of where things can happen. And I felt that was a big part of it. And then I thought it was funny because I was watching Grace Randolph cover it last night, and she starts talking about how Jon Snow is a Gary Sue, but again, which is bullshit because Jon had been through everything over the span of the last 8 years as well. He died, was resurrected. He was trained at the Night's Watch. He is a Targaryen who is a warrior. He is a Stark who is a warrior. He is a warrior. He knows how to fight. He knows how to lead. And to sit there and just downplay his character like that, I thought was pretty ridiculously stupid, if I'm being honest with you. But that being said, Arya earned everything that she had in that episode last night. She earned that moment. And the fact that it was looking like it was going to be Jon Snow versus the Night King, that was what they had been teasing for a long time. That is what audiences expected. It subverted expectations in a way that is so much better than The Last Jedi. But it subverted expectations by giving pretty much everyone's favorite character really, really badass moment, especially thinking that she was probably going to die, considering last week and the whole her and Gendry hooking up. It's, horror film trope sort of thing. Oh, they had sex, they're going to die. Like that whole aspect of it is a big part. But no, I don't view anything Arya did in the episode as being a Mary Sue. I don't view anything that, if we would have been introduced to Arya this season, yeah, sure, I could see that. But we've watched Arya go through so many trials and so many tribulations, being so close to being reunited with her family, at least at the Red Wedding prior to that, but then having, witnessed everything as it took place, her in the Hound, or her in the Faceless, her then killing, what was that, Kate, whatever her name was? I forget the girl's name from season 5 or season 6. And then everything else she had done. I still think the over-the-top moment was when she went back to Master Frey and fed him his children. I still feel that was like peak demented, sadistic Arya, and I wasn't a big fan of that, to be honest with you. And I like that they kind of toned it down since then, and they really brought out her training and her expertise and the path she had been on over the course of the past 8 years or so. So again, I really feel that Game of Thrones brought it. In last night's episode, I thought it was really well done, albeit there were some problems, some editing issues, but you had an episode that was 82 minutes that took 55 days to film, and it was all done at nighttime, and it was all freaking crazy, and a lot of money and a lot of budget. So what they did on a TV scale was pretty insane, and I give them lots of credit for that. So anyway, no, Arya Stark is not a Mary Sue. She earned everything, but I want to hear your thoughts, your opinions. Let me know down in the comments below. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. And peace out.